right, so our next lesson is going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions, which is why we practiced all the factoring lessons before. Okay, so we have two simple steps to simplifying on this one. All you got to do first is you have to factor the numerator and the denominator, and after you're done factoring, you go ahead and cancel whatever like terms you have. Okay, so looking at the numerator, 4x squared minus x, your greatest common factor is going to be an x, and then you write whatever's left over. So I'm left over with a 4, and I'm left over with this x, and then we have the minus sign. Remember, the coefficient here is a 1. Okay, even though it's invisible, you can't forget to put it in there. Okay, on the bottom, here we have 8x to the third power minus 2x squared. We're going to go ahead and factor it, so that's going to see a 2 and an x squared is what we can take out. Well, 2 times 4 is going to give me this 8. And then if I took out an x squared, I'm left over with just one x here. Minus 2 times 1 gives me 2. And then I took out this x squared, so I don't have anything left. So now we're ready to cancel. So step 2 is to cancel. Well, I have a 4x minus 1 on top and a 4x minus 1 on bottom. That cancels. Okay. I have an x on top and I have an x squared on the bottom. Now remember, x squared is the same thing as x times x. So this x on top is going to cancel out with one of the x's on bottom. Okay. I have nothing left on top, or at least it looks like I have nothing left. But remember, the coefficient to this x is 1. So I have a 1 left over on top. And on the bottom, all I have left is a 2x. So that's all that's left, the 1 and the 2x. And that's it. That's our answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. Here I have 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus 7x minus 21. I see those 4 terms, so I'm going to go ahead and factor this by grouping. So I'm going to group these two, and I'm going to group these two next. So grouping my first two, my common factor is a 2 and an x squared. Okay, that means I'm left over with an x, because 2 times x squared gives you x cubed. And then minus 3, because 2 times 3 gives you the 6, and I took out that x squared. Okay, plus, between the 7x and the 21, my common factor is 7, and I'm left with x minus 3. All right, we're not done factoring this one just yet, so I'm going to do the last step. They both have an x minus 3 on common, so all we're left over with is 2x squared plus 7. Okay. On the bottom, x squared minus 9. These are one of our special cases. So x times x gives me x squared. 3 times 3 gives me 9. One of them is going to be plus and one of them is going to be minus, because it doesn't have that middle term in this quadratic function. It doesn't have the x term. So that's why one has to be plus and one has to be minus. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it over here, because for the top we had one extra step. And then we go ahead and cancel. So the x minus 3's cancel each other out, and we write whatever's left over. So on the top, I'm left with the 2x squared plus 7. And on the bottom, I am left with x plus 3. And that's it. That's my answer. All right, so here, factor the numerators and the denominators, and you cancel the like terms. So when you're multiplying, all we got to do is factor each part. So let's go ahead and start there. We have 2x squared minus 2x. I can factor out a 2x, and I'm left with x minus, and 2 times 1 gives me 2. Okay. On the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and factor the x squared plus 2x minus 3. This is a quadratic function. Remember, with your quadratic functions, you make your double sets of parentheses. X times x gives you x squared, and we're looking for what two numbers multiply to give us negative 3, but we'll add up to a positive 2. Well, 3 times 1 gives me 3, and I need to add up to a positive 2, so plus 3 and negative 1. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and factor the next one. We have x squared plus x minus 6. We make our 2 sets of parentheses. X times x gives me x squared. And we're looking for 6. So 3 times 2 gives us 6. But it needs to add up to 1. One of them needs to be negative. So that means that in order for that x to be positive, the 3 is positive and the 2 is negative. Okay? Because 3 plus negative 2 would give you a positive 1. And then on the bottom, this one doesn't factor. It's already in factor form, so it's just 2x. Okay? Now we're going to cancel the like terms. So I have a 2x on top and a 2x on bottom. That cancels. have this x minus 1 on top and this x minus 1 on bottom. That also cancels. I have this x plus 3 on top and this x plus 3 on bottom. That also cancels. So all we're left with is the x minus 2 on top. You do not have to fill in the denominator with the 1. Okay? All right. Number 4. Okay, still multiplication. Is still the same concept. So here we have 2x squared minus x minus 3. So we're going to go ahead and factor that. Remember, this one does take a little bit more steps. 2 times negative 3 gives you negative 6. And we're looking for two numbers that multiply it to give us 6. But we'll add up to negative x. So I'm going to do my work right here. So 2x squared. Well, 2 times 3, so negative 3x plus 2x. Okay. 3 times 2 gives you 6. It actually gives you negative 6, which is what we want. But negative 3x plus 2x would give you the negative 1. Okay. So we group these two, we group those two, and this is going to give me, between these two, my common factor is x, and I'm left with 2x minus 3. Plus, this one is already a 2x minus 3, so we can leave it like that. They both have a 2x minus 3 in common, so that's what we factor out, 2x minus 3. And then we write whatever's left over. So I'm left over with an x, a plus, and don't forget, if there's no number right here in the front, it's a 1. So x plus 1. Okay. So this is what's going to be put right there at the top. So 2x minus 3 and x plus 1. Then we look at the next one on the denominator, x squared plus x. That one we factor by greatest common factor. They both have an x in common, so all I'm left with is x plus 1. Okay, because x times x gives you x squared, and x times 1 gives you 1x. Then we move to the next one. We have 4x squared plus 4x. We get the greatest common factor, which would be 4x. They both have a 4x in common, so I'm left here with x plus 4 times 1 gives you 4. And then last, the 2x minus 3, that one we cannot factor, so it's just going to stay on the bottom as 2x minus 3. And then we go ahead and start canceling. So I have a 2x minus 3 on top, a 2x minus 3 on bottom, that cancels. I have this x plus 1 on top and this x plus 1 on bottom, that cancels. Now this one cannot cancel because it has to be 1 and 1. You can't cancel out 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. It has to be even. And then last, I have this x here, it can cancel out with that x that's right there. So all I'm left with is a 4 on top and this x plus 1 on top as well. So it'll be 4 times x plus 1. And that's it. Okay. When you are dividing fractions, you flip the divisor and then you multiply across. So for example, you have 2/3 divided by 1/2. You end up changing this to a multiplication sign, and when you do that, you flip this one. And that's why it has it 2 over 1. And then you just multiply across. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay? So for example, on this one, we have x squared plus 4x plus 4 divided by x plus 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and rewrite this by flipping and multiplying. So this part stays the same over x plus 3. Now the x plus 2 doesn't have anything in the numerator or the denominator, so when we flip it, we'll put a 1 on top and we're going to move the x plus 2 to the bottom. Okay, so once you flip the divisor, you're going to go ahead and factor just like we did on the other problem. So I'm going to factor this one by using our 2 sets of parentheses. X times x gives you x squared. 2 times 2 gives us 4, and it needs to add up to a positive 4 here for the middle term. So it'll be plus 2 plus 2. The denominator, this one does not factor, so it's going to stay as x plus 3 on the bottom. And then this is also going to stay as 1 over x plus 2. Okay, because we can't factor. So we cancel what we have in common. So what we have in common, we have an x plus 2 on top and an x plus 2 on bottom. That cancels. And then we write whatever's left over. So we're left with x plus 2 times 1. Now this 1 will become invisible, so we don't have to write it. Okay. And on the denominator, we have x plus 3. And that's it. one. So this is x cubed plus 125 over 2x squared minus 50. Divided by x plus 3 over 2x minus 10. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite this. So it'll be x cubed plus 125 over 2x squared minus 50. And I'm going to flip this one around. So 2x minus 10 over x plus 3. So we flip this around. Okay. So then we go ahead and start factoring. So the x cubed plus 125. On that one, if you remember from the previous lesson, a is going to equal x and b is going to equal 5. Okay, so let me just go back real quick so you guys can see the formula. Here it is. So when you have a cubed plus b cubed, it's going to be a plus b, and then a squared minus a times b plus b squared. Okay. So when I factor this, it's going to be a plus b, so x plus 5, and then it's going to be a squared, so x squared plus a times, minus a times b, so minus 5x, and then plus b squared, so plus 25, because b is 5, so 5 squared is 25. Okay. Then we're going to factor the denominator. So the denominator is going to factor as, we can take out a 2, that would be our greatest common factor, and we're left with x squared, and then 2 times 25 gives you 50. Okay, and then from there, we can factor the 2x minus 10. That has a greatest common factor of 2, so we're left with x minus 2 times 5 gives you 10. And then the x plus 3 in this denominator, nothing happens to it, you can't factor that, it'll just stay x plus 3. Okay, now we're not quite done yet because this can actually be factored, and so can this. One more time. Okay, so the top one first, we have x plus 5, that stays the same. But the x squared minus 5x plus 25, does that factor? Oh, you know what I'm missing? Sorry, I knew something was weird. It's going to be 2 times a times b. I should have wrote the formula. So this is a squared minus 2 times a times b minus b squared. So this shouldn't be 5, this should be 10. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, because 2 times 5 gives you 10. All right, so we're looking for two factors that multiply to give us 25. 5 times 5, but we'll add up to negative 10, so negative 5 and negative 5. Okay, on the denominator, that x squared minus 25, well, that's one of your perfect square trinomials. So 5 times 5 gives you 25, but one is going to be plus and one is going to be minus. That way it doesn't have that term in the middle. Just like this one has that term in the middle, it doesn't have that middle term, okay? So then from there, this part stays the same, 2 times x minus 5. We can't factor x minus 5 more than it already is, and then it's plus 3. So now we are ready to start canceling. So x plus 5, x plus 5, x minus 5, x minus 5. This 2 cancels, and that's it. So on the top, we're left with x minus 5 times x minus 5 over x plus 3. Now this might be written as x minus 5 squared, okay, because that means the same thing, and x plus 3. But either answer should be correct, okay? I just want you guys to see both. That's it for me today. Thank you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.